So we're learning Tanya. We're on page Nun Ches in chapter 41. We've been trucking along here following the Alter Rebbe's theme, and that is that Kabbalah Seil Malchus Shemayim is the yesod, is the foundation of Avodah. Not Avas Hashem. Avodah, service, serving in the army, being a soldier, requires Kabbalah Seil. And this is a truism and a principle in life. And because it's so true, it's so hard. It's a difficult task. Says the Alter Rebbe, I'll take it apart for you. I'll open it up, and I want you to think about certain ideas, certain meditations and thoughts that can help you feel more comfortable, which is an oxymoron. If you're a servant, comfort doesn't come into play. But nevertheless, if you can understand with your mind the importance of Kabbalah Soil, it'll be easier for you to accept. It's interesting, someone came over to me Shabbos and he said his daughter asked him, his daughter's meeting someone about Breslov, and he doesn't know much about Breslov. So he asked me, what's the difference between Breslov and Chabad? So I told him, to read my full book on it, because on one foot, I can't do what Hillel did, you know? Hillel said, Madasani loch lechavrach lesavit, zeo kol ha'Torah kula, what you don't want someone to do to you, don't do to others. That's the entire Torah. I'm not in a position on that level to say that about what Breslov is or is not. But now, as I'm talking to you in the shir here about this Kabbalah Soil, I would say another nekuda just hit me. See, this is the beauty of learning and teaching. That the Kabbalah Soil of Breslov is rudimentary, fundamental, basic. Reb Nachman, Reb Nosson, you know, Simcha and Bitochen and Parnasa and Reb Shalom Arush, and it's all good and it's very holy. Chas v'sholom. The Alter Rebbe, you see over here, he tackles the same issue of Kabbalah Soil, and meanwhile we've done already 6 yud and we're on our 7th shir, and we probably have 1 or 2 left, and it's 4 pages, you know, because he talks about ways of whetting the appetite of man to engage in Kabbalah Soil. Go tell someone be a robot. How many people are going to follow and want to be a robot? Few. But you'll say, but that's the whole idea of Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Listen to Hashem. Yeah, but it's a Shema. And Shema means not just listen, means not just hear, but listen and understand. Shema. And Shema is Shemayin. And Shema means meditate, not just hear. You know, in Yiddish we say, it goes in from this air, you remember? Segetaran from this air, and it comes out from this air. That's called listening. There is what we call in Yiddish herren, to hear, and then there is der herren. I translate the word der herren as to resonate. It's not just to hear, a flimsy hearing, and I go and do what I want, but der herren means to resonate in your bones and your kishkis, to become part of you. That's who you are. Yes, sir.
Honest question, because my biblical Hebrew is not sufficient enough. But in modern Hebrew, we have 2 different words. We have lishmoa, which literally means to hear, and we have lahakshiv. Lahakshiv means to listen and to follow what is being said.
Lahakshiv means to pay attention.
Look, lahakshiv means to listen and follow.
Okay, but as far as I was...
I don't know if that word existed in biblical Hebrew.
I think it's not a modern word. No, not lahakshiv, but kshav. Lahakshiv is brought down in the Svarim. I think it's way before biblical modern Hebrew. But what's your point?
My point is to bring up there is a distinction between lishmo and lahakshiv.
Yes, okay, but there's they're psukim. Isser, I don't remember the pasuk now. There's a mimer, the previous Rebbe, on Shema, and he brings 3 translations based on Tanakh on the word Shema. And one is definitely not just to hear, but it's, as you say, to listen, to follow, Lakshiva. There's no question. He cites a pasuk in Tanakh. But anyway, the point being that let's not lose, the Nekuda is that the Alter Rebbe in chapter 41 gives us 3 meditations in the first part of the chapter to help us instill this Yesod, this foundation, this Amud for Yiddishkeit, for serving God, for Kabbalah Soil. One is V'hine Hashem Nitzav Olav, God stands upon you and checks you out and knows what's going on inside. Number 2 is the idea of the meditation before putting on talos and tefillin, that in Torah mitzvahs, in general, God is within them, and therefore when you do a mitzvah, you have God, but that's from God's perspective. God inserted himself in mitzvahs and Torah. And then finally, the third meditation that he mentioned on page 112 is more personal, where this becomes part of your life. Anyway, then later in the chapter, and we're at this point pretty much now, we spoke about l'shem yichud kutchebrichu u'shchinte b'shem kol Yisro. And he said a very, very interesting thing and a chiddush. And he said that a person should seek unity with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, not only for himself, but for Klal Yisrael, for everybody. What's the chiddush? And this I didn't say last time. I'm adding this time. I heard this from Rabbi Yoel. The idea of, for me to take personal responsibility, right? For us to take personal responsibility is within our control. What responsibility can I take for you, Isser? Or you for me? You're you, I am. So, we like each other, we talk to each other, we learn together. It's very nice. But at the end of the day, you have to daven with your kavanah, I have to daven with my kavanah. In other words, Moshe, this idea of kulanu ke'echad, we're all one, or in the language of L'Shem Yichud, b'Shem Kol Yisrael, I'm uniting, L'Shem Yichud, Kudsha Brichu. I'm bringing together Avram, Kudsha Brichu, and Shchinte, right? The Midos, Zoh, and Malchus, whatever the Kabbalah says, I'm bringing together a unity of God, a God in the world, or in the Alter Rebbe's Lashon, Malach Kolam, Sevav Kolam, right? So I could do that in my davening, but that's not what it says. L'shem Yichud Kudsha Brichu Shchinte, b'Shem Kol Yisrael. First of all, why do you have to add the words b'Shem Kol Yisrael? In the name of all of Israel. In my name, I'm davening. Hillel, you're davening b'Shem Hillel. No, it doesn't say b'Shem Hillel. It says b'Shem Kol Yisrael. And number 2, what's the advantage? No, I'm sorry. And number 2, what's the advantage? And number 3, seemingly it's impossible. I can't take responsibility for you. When it's abracadabra, it's abracadabra. It doesn't work that way. So the Alter Rebbe explained to us one vart. He says that we have a neshama, right? Our nefesh elikis, our neshama, is a ha'ora, is a reflection, an emanation of the neshama the way it is b'mokor, in its source. When it comes to its source, we're all one. When are there differences between you and I and people and every? Is when we come into a body, it's my body and not your body. So this part of the neshama that invests itself in the body is unique to my body. So then I have a good question. How can I pray for you? Right? But when you when you understand that that's only the emanation of the soul, but the other part of the soul, or better said, the real neshama comes from on high and remains on high. You hear that? And that's why we have at times dreams, and we have at times callings, and we have at times epiphanies, and we have all of these things that, are out of the ordinary. Where does it come from? It comes from our neshama, the way our neshama is in its pure state on high, b'mokor. And b'mokor, it doesn't have the shtuyot of the guf, of the indulgences. It's b'mokor, it's in the source. Because it doesn't have baggage up there, it can easily unite with each other. It's like they understand each other. When our neshama comes into a body, we don't understand each other. And that's why one of the reasons why do people have differences. So we say, the Gemara says in Brachas, Ein you say in Shabbos, right? Lagabe Birchas Harazim, 600,000 Jews. The Gemara in Brachas, the Alter Rebbe brings in the introduction to Tanya, right? Wow, Hashem, you're the master of secrets. You made 600,000 people, and everyone's different. That tells you that the difference is once the soul comes into the body, there's 600,000. But look at the soul in its source, there's one. There's one, and it's called Yisrael. It's one large neshama called Yisrael. Says the Alter Rebbe here. B'Shem Kol Yisrael means that the way you create the yichud between, not just between Kutchabrichu and Shchite, not just for yourself, but for all of Israel, Chaim Zev, is using the B'Shem Kol Yisrael ingredient. The Achdus ingredient, which is B'Mokor. B'Shem Kol Yisrael. In other words, B'Shem Kol Yisrael is a reflection of the way the soul is in its source. And over there you can have Achdus. Because over there, the souls understand each other. They're basically all in the same ballpark. They have the same ambition. And that's a fascinating thought. I mean, it's a big chiddush, and it's a gewaltige thought. And the Alter Rebbe says, this is what we need to have in mind when we do a mitzvah. So we ordinarily say, like I said last week to you, Chaver, remember, you do a mitzvah for the soldiers. And Moshe made that good comment, you know. You do a mitzvah for the sake of a mitzvah. If you do the right mitzvah, if you do the mitzvah with the Lishma, you learn Torah Lishma, you do the mitzvah for the sake of the mitzvah, Hashem will do the right thing with the mitzvah. Here we're saying that when you do a mitzvah, and you Yachet Kutchabrichu Shchinte, it should be B'Shem Kol Yisrael with the attitude that I am part of a wholesome thing, i.e., the soul energy. Not the soul the way the soul is already in the body, the way the soul is in its source. This is what we learned until now. So let's go another page, Mem Nun Ches.
Rabbi, just
yes.
Rashi, I don't know which Sedger it's in, but Rashi says the whole point that if part of Am Yisrael is hurting, so it compares it to the body. If a toe hurts, if a finger hurts, the whole body hurts. So I mean, this sounds very similar. It's obviously in the spiritual sense, not necessarily in a physical sense. Also in a physical sense, also.
Right. Right. Okay, so that Rashi is supportive of what we're saying. Rashi is talking about it more in the practical sense, or the spiritual practical sense. The Alter Rebbe is kind of giving the inner dimension of Rashi. How is it that we're all one? Seemingly we have two bodies. So he says, look at the source. Look at the source. And it's a very important meditation, reflection in life in general. To look at something at its source. I'll give you an example, a simple example. You see a car. You see a heap of metal. You see a car. Where does the car come from? From a plant somewhere in Michigan or wherever. And it was a heap of metal. And where does metal come from? The minerals. You have to go back to look at the source. And this is the same idea, that when you look at something from its source perspective, you have a different perspective. If you look at the car from its plant perspective, guess what? You have good cars, bad cars. They come out good. And therefore you have complaints, and sometimes it's great. In other words, when you look mimato lemaila, from below to above, if that's your, to use the word Weltanschauung, your worldview, you're entirely tainted by the worldview. If you switch and you look from above to below, from God's perspective, it's a whole different world. The same car is no longer, it's a mineral. So it's a whole different vantage point. And the same is with the body, and the same is with every issue, you know? And the Shalom HaKodesh already says it. Shalom HaKodesh says that the things below, meramozim, they allude to the things above, and even more so, because they're that way above, that's why they become this way below. So an apple is yellow, red, or green because in their source, there is yellow, red, and green on some level. And hence, when it comes into the world through the power of vegetation in the ground, from the fruit tree and coming out apples, sometimes it's yellow, sometimes it's red, and it's green. You'll say, but I don't know that. First of all, if you study and you learn Chassidus and you meditate, you can get a little taste. A little taste. And number two, when you know these things, it just changes your, we say in Hebrew, the Mabat Chaim, the paradigm in English. The paradigm. Okay, let's continue. We have to learn inside. We're in the middle of Nun Ches, in middle of the page, after the word Barichus. It's the second word on the page with a dot, a period. The unity of one's soul and its incorporation in the godly light to become united. Every Jew desires this be'emes lamite legamni, with truth, b'chol lev, b'chol nefesh, with his entire heart and soul, me'ava atibis and musteres b'lev, from the hidden latent love in his heart. L'dovke b'Hashem, to cleave to God. V'loy lipori, they're not to be separated. V'liyos nichras, v'nivdal chas v'sholem, and the Jew does not want to be, God forbid, cut off or separated from God's unity, mitzvahs, mitzvahs. Gam kein, says the Alter Rebbe now, a gewaltige Sache. He says, davening, prayer, it is also inyan mesiras nefesh mamish. There's a famous word, Chaver, the Baal Shem Tov, that when you go to daven, you have to say to yourself, I'm going to give away my life to God. You know how our soldiers, we're talking about the boys, the soldiers, they are mamish doing mesiras nefesh, and they know that. And their parents know that, and their grandparents, and their community knows that. This is it. When the Eibishter helps, they win, they come back. But the point is, Alter Rebbe said, the Baal Shem Tov says, that when you go to daven, Shmoneh Esrei, Tefillah, Shmoneh Esrei, you have to have a mind, I'm going on mesiras nefesh. I'm going to daven with such intensity and such kavanah that I'm ready for my neshama to go back to Hashem. Did you guys know that the Baal Shem Tov says this? This is not from Alter Rebbe, it's from the Baal Shem Tov. It's a word from the Baal Shem Tov, brought in Chassidus, and in not just Chabad Chassidus. I think the Maggid brings it, and it's a very serious word. No, so normally you go to daven. I have my needs. I daven. I come out. No, Baal Shem Tov says no. When you go to daven, you have to get ready to say Shema Yisrael, and if I don't come back, that's mesiras nefesh. What do you mean if I don't come back? That I have such feelings of being with Hashem vis-a-vis my davening, that's mesiras nefesh. The Alter Rebbe says.
Where does it say that? Is there a Hebrew pshat?
Yeah, I have to look it up. I saw it I saw it a long time ago, but I just saw it I think this weekend, and I have to look it up. I don't recall now. Tfilas LeDavid Lefnei Hashem Yishbach Sichai. I think on that Mizmor Tilim, Before Hashem, Yishpach Sichai, I pour out my talk, I think over there, the Baal Shem Tov says, you have to be ready to give away your life. The Rebbe said a mimer once in it, and that's why it was so fascinating. Okay, let me continue inside here. So now the Rebbe says, so I don't know if the Alter Rebbe means here the word to the Baal Shem Tov, I don't know, but it sounds like it. The tefillah is also Mesiras Nefesh. Just like when your soul leaves your body, B'mleis, Shivim Shona, when the 70 years of your life. He calls 70 years because of David HaMelech. Right? When you after 70 years, your soul leaves your body, you don't think about, I need to have pajamas and I need to have warm water for my feet. You don't think about that. Ella, machshavta miyuchedes. What is the thought of the soul? It's united. Umelubeshes by Siyat Torah. It's invested in the words of Torah, Vatfila and davening. Shein Dvar Hashem. It's the word of God. Umachshavta in God's thought. Yizborech. Vayilachod imamish will become one. Shezeu kol eisik adeshomes began Eden. The Alter Rebbe says that when you daven and you have this machshav of Mesiras Nefesh, you're emulating, it's even more, but you're emulating the avodah of Malachim in Gan Eden. What do you think they're doing in Gan Eden? Avram. Did you ever ask yourself, what are the souls doing in Gan Eden? So the souls are doing, they're praying to Hashem, they're praising God, they're having pleasure from God, and that's a Mesiras Nefesh. They're putting aside all of their issues and their things, and they just want to bask in the radiance of God, says the Alter Rebbe. That's the feeling that Yid should have when he davens to Hashem. All I want to be is in this place. I told you, my one Pesach night, 2, 3 in the morning, we were returning from a Fabrengen. I was a young boy. My father drove us home, and we went to Korn's Bakery. We went to get the first loaf of bread. It was a Matzah Shabbos, I think, whenever it was. And I remember my father saying clearly, I just came out of Gan Eden. And the way I felt in Gan Eden was, I don't want to go anywhere. I don't need a wife. I don't need kids. I just want Gan Eden. The feeling, the bliss, where they get Havdil and other religions, and they call it the bliss feeling, They tell a story of Rabbi Chaim Dalfin, famous Lubavitcher Chassid, and he was in Leipzig. Leipzig was a very big port city, I believe, and also there was a lot of business activity. So he was in Leipzig, and he was going with another chassid to raise funds for the Lubavitcher Yeshiva. It's called a Shadar. So Rabbi Chaim Dalfin was a Yid that davened all day. And he didn't get up 11 o'clock. He was up 4 or 5 in the morning already, okay? He learned Chassidus, and he went to the mikveh, and then he davened for 5, 6, 7 hours. Literally, I'm not 8 hours. He davened all day, thought Chassidus and davened, and then came time to mincha. He davened mincha, and then I think it took a break. He ate something, and then he davened ma'ariv. You're talking about a big Oved Hashem. There's someone who lived in 1920s and 30s, and Nebuchadnezzar was murdered in Kovna, in the shul. They burnt the shul, and he was one of the people, the Nazis, Machshemam. Anyway, so he's in Leipzig, and the chassid that went with him knew that he davens all day. But meanwhile, they have to go around to raise money for the yeshiva. You're not going to make the money davening all day. So he says, Rabbi Chaim says, what's going to be with davening tomorrow morning? This is at night. So he says, I'm going to daven in the morning, and then we'll go. But he says, Rabbi Chaim, you got to make a fast davening, because we have to go on the road to make money for the yeshiva. So he says, don't worry. He comes in the morning, and he stellt sich davening, and he davens for hours. The same davening. Maybe he finished a few hours earlier. So the chassid said, this friend says to him, so he said the word, this is what they say, he said the word, as es is mir gut da, was darf ich dorten? If it's good for me here, why must I go there? In other words, we're always looking, oh, over there it's better. Oh, over there it's better. Here I'm going to get it. You know, that whole mindset. If
Grass
you're,
is always greener.
yeah, if you're in the mindset as es is mir gut da, it's good here. Over here I feel God, I don't need to go anywhere. The money will somehow come. Again, it's not a good answer for the fundraising of the money, but it's an answer for the attitude, the mindset. The Alter Rebbe is saying here that davening is such an avodah that a person should have mesiras nefesh in his tefillah. You don't got to go anywhere. But I have to be at work at 8:30, at 9 o'clock. I got to punch a card, and all that. That means sistine kudah. You know, again, practically, how do you balance the two? A different discussion. I don't know if there's an answer, you know? The Rebbe told, Rebbe Zalman Gafni, he used to be Mashpia in Kfar Chabad, the Balshuva Yeshiva. Today he's in Tzfas. It's a very serious Oved Hashem. I can tell you a lot of things about it, maybe some other time. I interviewed him many times. So he lived in Bnei Brak. And he would say a very long Maimorim of the Rashab. He chazered Chassidus between Milchamar and Bashal Shuddis as the Chabad custom. The Balabatim, as soon as it hits 3 stars, they want to leave shul, like most shuls, right? Then he had another issue. In the morning, he davened with Kavona and Barichas, and he had to be in yeshiva with the boys, with the students, 11 o'clock, and he would want to daven. He used to daven 12, 1 o'clock. So he went into the Rebbe, and he asked the Rebbe what he should do, and the Rebbe said, there's a famous word by older Lubavitch Chassidim from the past. B'daf machen a kneich in davening. Kneich means a bend. You have to, then there's a flege machen a kneich in them siddur. They used to bend their siddur like here, right? The page, they would bend it in. They said, today I daven till this line in this paragraph, even though they daven the whole thing. But in other words, today I was able to focus and meditate until this place. Tomorrow, they made a kneich in the middle of the page. They got a few more lines. Because that they daven, right? So the Rebbe told Rabbi Gafni, you have to make a kneich in the siddur. And when it comes time for you to be at 11 o'clock with your students, you need to be with your students. Because that's Talmud Torah de Rabbin. That's Talmud Torah de Rabbin. They need you. They need you. You're telling me that you don't feel like you davened? Okay. So today, you'll daven with full kavanah till this line. And the rest you'll say the words and translate and go on. Tomorrow, pick up from the line that you left off yesterday and meditate on one more line. And the next day on another line. So, the Alter Rebbe, without saying all these words, he's alluding to this idea. Mesiras Nefesh b'tefillah means that you're there. And every person has to themselves, every day, I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. And it's up and down. It's not as though every day, sometimes you don't progress. Sometimes you go backwards. The kavanah you had yesterday on a certain line, a certain paragraph, you don't have it today. So what do? You become like, ugh. No. The next day, you try again. And so we daven every day. So the Alter Rebbe says here that this feeling of davening is analogous to the feeling of the neshama when it leaves the body and it says, I've had enough already, I've given you my 70 years, I'm returning and I want to be in the bask in the ray of Hashem. Says the Alter Rebbe, that's a similar feeling that you should have when you daven every day. Huh? It's easier said than done, but that's why I say it's the perspective. A lot of the things we learn in Chassidus, and we ask, am I really at this point? And we say, I'm not at this point. it makes no difference as long as you want to be at this point, as long as you're going on this mahalach, and you're looking to come to a place like that. You'll say, "Oy, halavai, there'll be a day I won't have to rush to work. Halavai, there'll be a day I don't have to take my kids in carpool. Halavai, there'll be a day that all that will be worked out, and I'll be able to just sit with my talis over my head and daven and think, and that attitude." That's what we want, and that's a very important nekuda. I guess we'll stop here. Kedisa b'Gemara. I really wanted to learn more. Do you have a few more minutes, or you have to run, all of you? You have to go? Okay, so we'll learn tomorrow. Any questions? Any point? Yeah, Moshe, any want to say something? Anyone want to say something about what I just said? Anybody have a comment? Okay. Is anyway, Chevra, have a great day. We'll see everyone tomorrow. Seid gesund, and Hashem should have mercy on Am Yisrael and make everyone come back healthy and end this war already. Seid gesund.
Rabbi, my sister's coming tomorrow, so I have to pick her up from the airport.
Okay, be safe. Be safe. Only safe. Seid gesund. Bye. Take care.